For each of the last 22 years, the world has set a new record for renewable energy. In Europe, the US, and Brazil, renewables hit all-time highs. In 2023, China commissioned as much solar as the entire world combined, and its wind energy capacity has increased 66% each year. Progress has been slower in other sectors critical to reducing greenhouse gases. Although we have seen slight recent declines in meat consumption in Germany and France, in the US, meat consumption increased by 17% between 1970 and 2022, and food waste increased nearly 5% between 2016 and 2021. And in China, meat consumption increased by nearly 75% in urban areas and over 130% in rural areas between the 1980s and 2017, an upward trend that continues. In the meantime, scholars continue to explore theories to explain how advocates influence government policy. The Advocacy Coalition framework emphasizes coalitions of NGOs, other interest groups, and government. The narrative policy framework highlights the role of stories and how we frame messages in inciting policy action. The multiple streams theory talks about how three streams, problem, policy, and politics, must come together to form a window of opportunity for policy change. And the punctuated equilibrium theory recounts how periods of rapid change punctuate or interrupt long periods of stasis, like a comma punctuates or interrupts the flow of words in a sentence. So, are we in a period of rapid change in climate policy? And what do these theories tell us about where we are and where we might go? In struggling to come up with commonalities among policy change theories, I landed on 4 lessons. 1, actors matter. 2, messages matter. 3, timing matters. And 4, context matters. First, actors. With few exceptions, groups are more effective than individuals in changing policy. Groups can be NGOs, less formal interest groups, and even social media online networks. Moreover, coalitions are more effective than groups in inciting policy change. Coalitions of NGOs, researchers, business, and government officials share their expertise to help draft and advocate for new policies. It's harder for politicians to ignore coalitions than to ignore individuals or even single interest groups. Coalitions have greater credibility and resources. Second, the message. If you wanted to convince a public official to promote plant-rich diets, what message would you use? You might compose a story about the impact of beef production on methane emissions or on air and stream pollution. Or you might tell a tale of the suffering of animals ruthlessly slaughtered to feed humans and pets. Or you might recount how Americans suffer from heart disease, obesity, and diabetes, all of which are connected to high meat diets. But then you realize that what really drives the public official is America's ability to compete economically on the world stage. Maybe the story that grabs their attention is one that touts the economic growth opportunities in the cellular meat industry and the need to stay ahead of current leaders in this expanding sector in the Netherlands and Singapore. Third, timing matters. Most Americans and their elected officials are not ready for a message about the problems with meat consumption and the benefits of plant-rich diet. The problems related to meat consumption are not high on their radar. They are influenced by a strong meat lobby, and they don't see an alternative livelihood for ranchers and meat factory workers. In this case, advocacy groups and coalitions can keep working on public campaigns to educate the public about the problems of high meat diets and the alternatives like cellular-based meats. As the public comes to embrace healthier ways of eating, and an increasing number of cities and states institute meatless Mondays and other ways to lessen meat consumption, a small window of opportunity to talk with politicians may be opening. And who knows when something else might occur that opens that window wider. In March of 2024, massive wildfires destroyed 1 million acres of rangeland in Texas. The blaze blinded and burned the legs off cows. Tens of thousands of cows perished. Naturally, politicians react to the immediate disaster by sending hay and otherwise helping the surviving animals and ranchers. But might such increasingly common disasters create a window of opportunity for politicians to understand the problem of climate change and consider new climate policies? Finally, the context. Disasters are an exogenous factor, part of the context that is outside the actual policy system. Another exogenous factor is price. The price of meat is going up. New technologies, such as the ability to make meat-like products from just a few animal cells, are also exogenous factors that can influence new policy. The endogenous context is similarly important, such as what political party is in power and what organizations and coalitions have the resources to fight for climate-friendly policies. So far, we have seen how actors matter, messages matter, timing matters, and the context matters. But there's one other thing I want to leave you with. Persistence and resilience matter. To get to where we are with renewable energy today, perhaps even at a tipping point where renewable energy will gain ever more momentum and fossil fuel energy will fade into the past, has not been easy. I remember in 2011 when President Obama was ridiculed because 15 months after his visit to Solyndra, a solar company his administration had loaned money to, Solyndra declared bankruptcy. Yet, advocates persisted in lobbying for renewable energy, eventually achieving the enormous success we see today. Advocates were resilient, adapting their stories and their strategies to meet the moment. Who knows where we might be 10 years from now if advocates for healthy and climate-friendly foods persist and adapt their strategies in the face of a changing context.